Immaculate Basil was born on December the 8th, 1985. The daughter of Samuel Basil and Patricia Joseph, she had three sisters, Crystal, Ida and Samantha, and three brothers, Nick, Peter and Travis. She was part of the Talastan Nation based out of Tachi. Immaculate, known to her friends as Mackie, had somewhat a rough life. She grew up in the foster care system, and she and her sisters experienced both physical and sexual abuse from their foster parents. Despite living apart, she and her sisters Ida and Crystal would call each other daily. When Mackie graduated high school, she got out of the foster care system and moved to the reservation. She would gain employment in several part-time jobs as a secretary, cleaner and a teaching assistant. She would later find a partner and give birth to a son. Being a mother was something she loved, and she cherished the time with her son. Unfortunately, the relationship would eventually end. News of the breakup was a surprise to the family, and the cause of the separation is unknown. It is not public knowledge how long she was with her husband. However, after the breakup, she would move in with her brother and sister. Basil rarely drank alcohol and never took drugs. In fact, she rarely went out, preferring to spend her time at home, cooking, decorating, being online and talking with her sisters or spending time with her son. On Thursday, June the 13th, 2013, Mackie and her brother and sister went to a nearby community to buy groceries and run errands. At the store, she asked her brother Peter to buy her 2 bottles of vodka because she had lost her ID. She wanted the bottles for a party she planned to attend later that night in Tachi. With one of her sisters looking after her son, Mackie headed out to the party. It is not public knowledge who was at the party that night or how many people were there, but it's believed that it was mostly Basil's cousins. Large portions of Mackie's timeline that night are not public knowledge, but what we do know is she was alone for much of the night. I believe it was shortly after midnight that Mackie headed to a second party, and the events of the night after that are not entirely clear. She was said to have been with 2 men that night, her younger cousin Keith and a 48-year-old man named Victor. At some point in the early hours of June the 14th, Basil, Victor and Keith were riding in a white truck. The truck they were travelling in got into an accident on Leo Creek Forest Service Road between Tachi and Kuz Che near a place called 16 Kilometre. They were apparently heading to a hunter's cabin near the Kuz Che Reserve to pick up some unused roofing tin to deliver to an elder. A witness said the accident was apparent because there were parts of the truck near a tree that was broken in half. It is believed that an attempt was made to recover the truck by using a second black truck from the cabin. The story that Victor and Keith provided was that while they were attempting to get the truck out the mud, Mackie separated from the pair, presumably to make her own way home. She was never seen again. At 10 a.m. the next morning, Mackie's siblings became worried when she missed out on their daily call. This was a call that Basil rarely missed, and when Mackie did not show up to pick up her son the next day or the days after, her family became extremely concerned. They frantically began to call family and friends to see if anyone had seen her. It was not common for her to spend the night away from her son. She did not bring her makeup bag or an extra set of clothes, and didn't own a cell phone. Even if she did, the area the cabin was located was known to have no cell phone coverage. Strangely, at around 10 a.m, the same time Mackie's sisters would be expecting a call from her, one of the last people to be seen with her, Victor, was seen walking down the street in Tachi, wearing clothes that were wet up to his chest. Witnesses found his appearance to be odd. In addition to that, he arrived in town shortly after the accident occurred. It wouldn't be until nearly 4 days later that police would be informed of her disappearance. Mackie's sisters, although concerned, believed she may have stayed at one of her brother's houses, but as he didn't have a phone, they had no way to contact him. It would take another day for anyone to come and take a statement, and the search for her to begin. The RCMP started off by questioning the last people to be seen with her, Victor and Keith. Victor was an outsider from the tribe and had a previous record for sexual assault and other violent crimes, raising immediate red flags. However, Victor was interviewed by police and passed a polygraph test, so police ruled him out as a suspect. Keith, her younger cousin, who she also spent the night with, was also interviewed by police and passed a polygraph test. Neither man has ever talked to Mackie's family about the exact events of that night. Police confiscated the truck she was in, but no evidence was found to suspect foul play. Her previous partner was also questioned, and even though he left town shortly after her disappearance, they cleared him as a suspect also. Extensive ground and air efforts were made in the days after Basil's disappearance, carried out by numerous search and rescue organisations, RCMP air services, relatives and locals. However, all of these search efforts led nowhere. What happened to Immaculate Basil after she left the party with Keith and Victor remains a mystery. Now, a witness did come forward to report seeing a woman that resembled Mackie at approximately 9:30 a.m. She claimed she saw a woman walking alone along a bridge away from a truck that had gotten in an accident. She saw 2 men with the truck. If correct, this would add credibility to the fact that possibly she did walk away alone from the crash site and possibly hitched a lift somewhere else. The RCMP would later dismiss this sighting, however, as not being accurate or credible. Numerous posters, billboards and news articles have gone up in an effort to raise awareness about the disappearance. According to relatives, the family did not hear much from the RCMP in the first year after she went missing, though the RCMP did issue a press release marking the 3-year anniversary of Basil's disappearance in 2016. As with many missing persons cases, there have been numerous theories as to what happened to Immaculate Basil. No one else beside Victor and Keith can verify the errand they were supposedly running that night, but the RCMP have stated the 2 have been cooperative with the investigators. Although stranger abduction is unlikely because of the rural location, it again cannot be ruled out, especially if she was hitching a ride that morning. And although police have looked into several people, it has been difficult to name anyone as a suspect because there is no crime scene. It has also been suggested that an animal attack could be a possibility, but again there is no evidence to support that theory.